Welcome everyone. Today is 12th of January, where we celebrate Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary today. And on the occasion of Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary, the nation celebrates National Youth Day. The significance of National Youth Day is because Swami Vivekananda emphasized on the power of youth to turn the caliber of the nation in a particular direction, to realize what India is meant to be. And for that, he called the young minds and asked them to work on themselves, which will eventually result in developing the nation as well. So, with that intention, let's take a moment to first remember Swami Vivekananda, wishing him a very happy birthday, um, because a gigantic and magnanimous soul that he was, he is, continues to have impact on to many of us, many lives that I've personally met and seen them being inspired by his work, by his uh, thoughts. So, firstly, wishing Swami Vivekananda a very happy birthday, and then welcoming all of you to this live conversation on For the Youth, by the Youth, where our intention is to discuss what is it, this line, arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached, that Swami Vivekananda talks about. What does it really mean to realize this particular thought? What is he talking about? What does it mean to arise and awake? Right. So, with that intention, we welcome all of you. Please bring in your friends, or if you know anybody else can join in this particular conversation, we would love to have them as well. If you have any questions as we continue with the discussion, please feel free to write it in the chat box, into the comment section, and we would love to answer as many questions or take up as many different perspectives and viewpoints that come in. So please feel free to write your comments and join us in this discussion. Khushi here is the representative of the youth. She belongs to the generation which is seeing a lot, feeling a lot, and perhaps dealing with a lot because of the changes in the society as we are going through. So, um, I would ask Khushi to start with her questions and whatever she would like to begin with, and then we'll take it forward.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Khushi, like ma'am introduced already. So it is a very big thing for me to represent the youth. I'm no one to represent the youth, but still I would like to put forward few questions that I feel like people need to address. I've come across a lot of people who have not started their spiritual journey yet, but they are some or the other way tilted towards it, but they are scared to explore that region because there are a lot of myths about spirituality altogether. People mix it with religion. So I want you to help them understand that how to build on that intuitive energy that we've been constantly dwelling upon, and it's something that people need to polish a little bit, and not get distracted from what they're supposed to do. So majority of the times, just because people want to do something, they are doing it for the sake of doing it because the society is telling them to do it, or maybe the peers are pushing forward certain thoughts that this is how it is, this is how you are going to look cool, or this is the trend. You can't, what are you doing, you can't, why are you away from the trend? That is something that has been constantly instilled upon the young generation, and I feel like I myself have felt that so much throughout my teenhood. It took me a lot of time to detach myself from that phase. I want you to make us understand that why it is important to focus on what your inner calling is. I want you to elaborate on the inner calling.
Yes, so thank you for asking it. Before moving to an inner calling, I would like to bring the focus towards this understanding that our lives, what's the purpose of our life? And it's from a very young age, from very childhood, that we all have dreams, you know. When you ask a little child, what is it that you want from life? Most of them would say, well, I want to be happy, or I want to reach out to the stars, or I want to. They'll give you a dream which is for you, which is very much unrealizable, which you would say what he or she is talking about. What. And then they grow up and they'll start talking in terms of more materialistic reality, then they will say that I want to become a teacher or an astronaut or do something for the world, do for conservation of nature, something which has a higher ideal. So one thing what is important to realize is catch that ideal that you had always. That is your calling. Forget God, forget divinity, forget spirituality, forget everything. You don't have to sit into meditation and realize the divine. No, that inner calling is your medium or is your way to realize yourself, and that is what spirituality is, to realize oneself, right? I see a lot of clients today, young generation, they're in their teens. I have the youngest one is at 9, and I see somewhere till 17, 18. I do have older clients as well. But a recurring theme in all of these people or young people is that they want to do something, they want to blossom out in a particular direction, but the society is giving them very contradictory influences. And at a very young age, the joy of living is being sucked out of their life, right? They would want to play for hours, but teachers and parents are like, no, 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 no. You have to study, and you have classes going on for 9 hours, 10 hours now. And even when you are doing other things, you are doing swimming, you are doing dancing, you are doing music, you have to be good at it. You are not doing it for the joy of it. You are not doing it to explore yourself, to find out, okay, when I sing, I feel this way. When I'm dancing, I'm feeling this way. No, you have to be perfect with your movements, and you have to do a show, or you have to be first into something. And that is a big problem. It's a big challenge, right? So first thing is find that thing, that impulse within you which always kept telling you, no, this is what I want from life. This is what I would want to do. So that is your deeper aspiration. Connect to that first, and then try to build your life around it. So a lot of young people would say, I want to do something for nature, or I want to do something for the world. Okay, you want to do something. What is it that you want to do? How would you like to contribute? Right? They'll give you some idea. Okay, what is it that you have within you which will enable you to contribute in a particular direction? So you are now bringing their focus into this thing. Ideals are great, but to realize those ideals, you have to develop yourself, right? That means you have to work on your body, you have to work on your emotions, you have to work on your mind, mental capacity. Swami Vivekananda said this in one of the places. He said, if I have to go through education once again, I will not go ahead read 500 books or read different subjects. I will only focus on developing two faculties. One, the faculty of concentration, and the other one is the faculty of detachment. Now you see, both of these things we eventually utilize in spiritual journeys as well. Before you do dhyan, you have to do dharana. That is, before you meditate, you have to concentrate. What does concentration means? Concentration means first gathering yourself into a place, and then utilizing it for a particular purpose, which is meditation, right? So learning the start of concentrating. You can do it through physical means as well. When you are playing a game, when you're playing, you're moving a body in a particular way. You're actually seeing how do I concentrate if I have to make certain movements, hand movements. I first need to concentrate my consciousness, my awareness in my hands. Then only I can make any movement, right? A good dancer will tell you that. If you are
Mm-hmm.
an athlete, you become aware of your body first. You become aware how your body moves. We know as adults we can't move in all the directions, right? So we are more cautious about it. Zyada murna nahi hai, zyada chupna nahi hai. But young children, they can do it. They would love doing cartwheeling or more dynamic activity. Bring that awareness into the body. So when the body is conscious, it can hold, it can concentrate its energy. Similarly, emotions. Now, there was a time we didn't talk about emotions, but today's time is everybody is talking about emotions. It's out there, but it's completely dispersed, right? I meet so many young children and their parents where the parents are enabling all kind of emotions. One is becoming aware of the emotions. The second is handling them. You have to teach both of these things. You can't just say, okay, become aware of your emotions and then just leave them there. You're feeling too tired, you're feeling too sad about it. Oh, I'm understanding, I'm empathetic, but then what are you doing about it? So make them aware, yes, this thing made you sad, but why did it make you sad? Okay, there was something in you which repelled out of this. Right? That is emotional education. That is what emotional intelligence was, what Daniel Goleman was talking about, right? It's the same thing that when you read Swami Vivekananda as well, he says, culture your emotions, right? Culture, see, your emotions will be, you'll be more sad, you'll be more depressed when your physical energy is less. So play. When you're playing, you're more joyful by default, right? When you play, when you have enough of play, enough of physical culturing, when you do art, when you do music, when you do um, dance, all of this, that's what Sri Aurobindo says, all of this allows you to culture your soul. It allows you to blossom your soul, right? They help you develop those inner qualities of beauty, harmony, light, perfection. It can't happen when you are mugging up a course, or when you're reading, you have to remember a chapter on what did the Buddha say. Until and unless you actually feel, who was Buddha, you can experience, have something of that experience, and then reading Buddha would make sense, right? Or when somebody is teaching you 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, what does 2 plus 2 mean for me? No, something as beautiful as I see Preeti has joined here. Her birth date is 22nd of August, right? So, what does that 2 and 2 as an energy mean for me? Yes. What does 2 represent? When you read, something like Aryabhatta or Bhaskaracharya, they say that the 2 represents a particular formulation of energy, which is different from 1. And you see it in the solar system. The moon has the representation of 2, it's given the number 2, sun is given 1, and you see something very fundamentally different, right? So then education becomes a means for your inner growth. And it's no more just processing information for the sake of it, what it has become today. So developing these faculties require you, yes, first to concentrate, and then second, have this quality of detachment. Now, in regular terms, people understand this quality of detachment in a very, negative way because of the influence of a lot of religious character. I would say to it that you have to shun away from, if you're detached, that means you don't give a damn to the world. That means that you don't care about anything. You're not at all empathetic. You can be extremely empathetic. That rather, that's a difference between empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Compassion has a deep sense of detachment along with knowledge, true knowledge. And that allows you to actually act in a more forceful way where your gains and losses are not counted, right? It's not even counted how you're feeling about it. So we have a lot of theories in psychology. You must have read a lot of theories on altruism and why people engage in altruistic behavior. And one of the theories says that engage in altruistic behavior because you feel good about it, right? You just want to do good because you feel good about it. But is there a possibility that I do good without having a sense of good and bad? And that is what true compassion is. It's not doing good or bad. It's doing what is right, what is true. It's understanding it at a very different level. And that's the kind of detachment we want to build in children at a very young age. Where we don't tell them, you do the good action or bad action. You tell them to do the right action. The action that allows you to grow in a particular way, allows you to grow, allows the other to grow, allows the community to grow. So let's take an example. Child age 3, 4 is fighting with another child, right? Out of them, one must be right, one must be wrong. Here, one would be a good child, one would be a bad child in a particular situation. But we don't want them to focus on that. We want them to focus on harmony. And we say, okay, why do you play together? And they will say, because we like playing together. All right. So can we come to a state of negotiation?
Right.
Rather than, so don't intervene as an adult until and unless you are asked for one thing, right? A lot of parents today have that problem. They want to intervene at every level. Don't do that. Allow the child to find their own spaces of negotiation. Second, if your child is asking you to intervene, take them to a higher truth. Allow them to see from a eagle's eye perspective and let them see why were you playing together in the first place, because you're friends, right? So as friends, try to find that space of negotiation, a space of harmony, and you will find children have this intuitive knowledge. They don't need you to teach them this is good, this is what a lot of people get into, right? This is good, this is bad, and they will choose, they will know that okay, this is good for me. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and that is at a younger age. At an older age, of course, as children get older, make them aware that there will be a lot of influences coming in and you will be choosing out of it, right? So, become mindful, become conscious of what each influence does on you. So, let's say young teens today get into alcoholism, get into, drug addiction, a lot of things, XYZ things. The normal way we perceive it is this is bad, this is good, right? The thing is, for a child or for an adolescent, they don't know yet. They have not seen the world as you have seen it. To make them aware, yes, there are all kind of influences. Check on what each influence is doing to your central goal, central aspiration. तुम्हें बचपन में एस्ट्रोनॉट बनना था, ठीक है, तुमने अपनी बॉडी पे काम किया, at the age of 13 somebody says कि चल स्मोक करते हैं, and you know it's fun and everybody does it, तो तुम भी करो. Read about it. You have internet today. Read about the effects of smoking on physical body. You get a fair idea of what it does. Even after that, if you're not convinced, see, talk to people who smoke, adults. See what implications it has on their life. Most of them will tell you that I'm stuck into this circuit now. I can't go out of it. Most of them will. Do you don't want to talk to your parents? Fair enough. Take data. You know, that is the bigger problem today. Everybody claims to be logical, but nobody uses logic. And as you develop, as you grow in this direction, you will find that inner center is your key to spirituality. It connects you to the higher truths. And that is what the fundamental difference between Indian philosophy or the writings of Swami Vivekananda or Sri Aurobindo, how they are different is this. They are not
Hmm.
asking you to leave the world. They are not asking you to sab kuch chodo and go into monkhood or just uh, leave everything. They are asking you to work. They are asking you to live a life, but a more complete and fuller life, where you are in control of yourself, where you are not divided constantly. Ki, my friends want to go out, so I will also go out because they are my friends. But at the same time, I would like to stay back and do something on my own, maybe gym workout for an hour because that's what I thought my New Year resolution was. So this conflict will always come, but it's always your higher uh, intuitive capacity, what you just said, the intuitive capacity, which is going to guide you into a particular direction. So that is how you build into intuition without developing the lower grades. You can't really jump to a higher grade. But to know
How do
all
you
the
deal with
keywords,
the fear? How do you deal with the fear? There's a fear of alienation. So, this is something that people have been talking about a lot. Loneliness, people saying that it is another pandemic coming on. What is your take on this?
so one is we understand, in evolutionary psychology, we say fear is a very fundamental. basis of humanity. Interestingly, that's true and that's also false. Now, when you read Indian psychology or Indian philosophy, it gives you the two-sided opinion. It says, yes, there is fear that's at the root of all the suffering that you find. You name any suffering, even you name any disorder from DSM, it has its roots in fear. I can prove it to you, right? So whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's OCD, whether it's bipolar, whether it's personality disorder, whether it's sexual disorders, whatever it has its roots in fear, right? That much we understand. But so Bhagavad Gita talks about why this fear, where does it come from? Very beautiful line which says, when you are separated from the original source, that is where you feel fear because you're alienated. We use this term, right? Alienated. So take this example. In a huge ocean, if a bubble is forming itself, let's say the bubble comes out to the surface and now it's out of the surface, out of the ocean, then it becomes fearful because it's all alone. It's you know all alone in the sky. But the moment it bursts down, it turns into a tiny drop and falls back into the huge ocean. That's the whole function of ego. Ego allows you to form individuality. But when this individuality is too much thickened or the ego is too much thickened, it separates us from the reality. And this is what the Upanishads talk about as ignorance. That you are ignorant of your own reality. That you are Sachidananda Brahma. You are that, the highest possibility of existence. That is what you are. But you are right now considering yourself as this tiny little being who is enclosed in a body with a tiny little mind and a tiny little emotion of your own. But in reality, you are the divine. That's what the Ishavasyam Sarvamidam, right? Or, uh, Soham, the major text, right? They are instilling or they are using these sentences to make you aware of who you truly are. So if you are divinity, if you are part of that ocean, then all of us are parts of that ocean. We are all tiny little bubbles, tiny little waves. And we understand, okay, each one may have a different movement, right? But we are all coming from the same depth. And that is our space of connection. A lot of people come with these in situations of heartbreak, lost somebody, something, then that is one of the conversations we have. In reality or in truth, we are all connected in some way. The whole uh, idea of Indra's or the vast ocean, we are all connected. आप कभी भी किसी को कहीं पे भी छोड़ते नहीं हो. It's just momentarily आप कहीं से मिलते हो और फिर अलग हो जाते हो, फिर मिलते हो फिर अलग हो जाते हो, फिर मिलते हो फिर अलग हो जाते हो. It happens for families, it happens for friends, it happens for partners, and that's how we are. But the intention of life is to grow you as a person. That's why a very concentrated flow of you know life energy or soul energy for you. So understand, you are your life's first project at the end of it. And this is something that I tell everyone. Whosoever has ever come to my session, I tell them this: you are your life's first project. You fix this up, rest everything will be taken care of. And this is something I learned at some point in my life, that if I'm taking care of everything else and everyone else and I'm not focusing on my own journey, then what use is this for, right? So that helps you understand that there is no need for fear in the first place. So you don't have to deal with the fear by trying to do pranayam and try to but face it or try to fight with it. You're not fighting with it, but you're looking at the source and you are kind of twisting it and making it. It's like जब वायर एकदम ट्विस्ट हो जाता है कैसे, तो हम उसको रीअरेंज करते हैं, फिर वायर सीधा हो जाता है अपने आप. उसको हमें काटने तोड़ने की जरूरत नहीं होती. Yes, that is the thing that we want to develop in our children at a very young age, even as adults or adolescents. That is the thought that we want to develop. Initially, you may not feel, yeah, everybody is going for partying and here I want to go for a satsang, or I have had clients who said that Rupali यार now मैं satsang में जाता हूँ तो सब मेरे को ताने मारते हैं because earlier I would go out on party. But that's the beautiful thing. आपको पता है कि आप वो क्यों कर रहे हो, और that thing will give you the force to continue doing it, right? So initially, it's okay to be alienated for your own. You're being a little selfish, but that's fine. Every growth requires you to make certain. जैसे this is one analogy I use a lot. जब कोई बिल्डिंग रीडेवलप हो रही होती है, रिकंस्ट्रक्ट हो रही होती है, तो आप एक उसके अराउंड में एक जैसे शीट लगा देते हो. क्यों? ताकि कुछ बाहर से अननेसेसरी इन्फ्लुएंस ना आए और कुछ अंदर से बाहर स्पिल आउट ना होता है. सेम वे जब आप बच्चे को भी डेवलप कर रहे हो, आप उसको रियलाइज करवाते हो ये चीज, बाउंड्रीज क्या होती है. We talk so much about boundaries today. This is the basic fundamental psychological boundary, the basis of our individuality, right? If you're not able to hold it, if you are then scared and fearful कि बाकी सब लोग मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे, how will people consider this, then तो आप अपनी नींव, you are destroying yourself. So I feel that's one way I would say to approach this. And eventually also know, as you are taking a particular path, you will come across people who, who are a part of, who will form a part of your satsang, your sangat. बुद्धम बुद्ध ने बोला था ना, आपको संगत बहुत मैटर करता है. So know when you, because this is the law of life. If you are starting with chaos, life will give you more chaos. If you are starting with an intention, life will by default, play out with that intention.
In this journey जहाँ पे you said that two wires are rewiring themselves, जहाँ पे they're trying to you know get rid of the chaos. I've come across people who tend to lose hope, they tend to lose faith in themselves, and we have seen so many suicide cases in young generation, and it's like everyday news. You open the newspaper, you find some or the other place where people are losing hope and taking intrusive steps. So what is your take on that, and how do you think we can deal this problem as a society?
So one thing to understand is, see, suicide has a particular character of it as well. It's like an energy wave. One, it's rippling in the atmosphere. It is going to influence a lot. I've actually come across people who would say, I don't want to do suicide, but I don't know where these thoughts are coming from. I genuinely feel that it is coming from outside of me. And that's something that we need to look into. Modern psychology, the way it is functioning is everything is within you and you are formulating. But the way Indian psychology or Indian philosophy looks at it, कि भाई तुम सब कुछ नहीं हो, understand this larger, bunch of energies that you're playing with. One is understanding this, that it's a particular pervert energy in the environment that is influencing you. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is, जब आपका core weak होता है ना, then you are prone to many influences, right? I'm not putting it out on the person saying that they were weak. No, the core was weak. What I'm saying is the time that like a little seedling, when a seed has started blossoming and the seedling is coming out, it needs a very different and a very unique environment to it. You will often see जब seed बोया जाता है, when there is a seedling, they'll make a small pole kind of thing around it. They will put some these wires, these cages around it to protect it from anybody trying to graze them or something. At a young age, children need that. As parents, one needs to be mindful of it, right? Give them that nourishment, that safety as a young child. Safety, not just that we are there, but safety within themselves also. See, you are protecting that young seedling, but you are not keeping it inside. You are not saying कि नहीं हवा पानी लगना ही नहीं चाहिए इसमें, एकदम अगर storm आ रहा है तो मैं अंदर कर दूंगी. नहीं. You are allowing them to go through every weather, each and every movement, but in a kind of a small shade, right? So So that helps them to build, to a plant when it's growing, it has to first grow the roots. What is happening today? We are all focused and we are focusing on how tall the tree is going to grow into. सबको अपना यूकेलिप्टस का पेड़ उगाना है, ठीक है? आप समझ ही नहीं रहे हो कि आपका पौधा यूकेलिप्टस का नहीं है, आप हिबिस्कस का फूल हो, आप मैंगो ट्री हो, या आप एक पोमोग्रेनेट ट्री हो. Pomegranate is equally beneficial as a mango tree or as a eucalyptus oil, right? But what we are looking at today is eucalyptus का सबसे लंबा पत्ता होता है, उसका तेल का सबसे ज्यादा दाम बिकता है, सबको eucalyptus बनना है. नहीं बाबा. So each and every plant will take its own time to develop its root structure. And one needs to understand, यूकेलिप्टस का पौधा अलग टाइम लेगा अपना रूट स्ट्रक्चर बनाने का, आपका हिबिस्कस का पौधा अपना अलग टाइम लगेगा रूट स्ट्रक्चर बनाने का. एंड एवरी ईच वन ऑफ अस टेक अ डिफरेंट टाइम इन forming our root structures. Give them that much time. So as a child, you will often find young children asking a lot of questions about everything, to their teachers, to their parents, to others around them. Encourage it, nourish it. Ask them, okay, if you don't know answers, fair enough. If they like, today we have phones. Use the phone for that. आओ साथ में देखते हैं, गूगल करते हैं क्या है इसका जवाब. ठीक है? That gives instills a sense of a deep hope, deep faith. And I'm going to make a difference here between hope and faith, because you said we lose hope. I said your anecdote for this is faith, right? If you watch, there's a very nice video by Jim Carrey when he was giving a lecture at Maharshi University, and he made this beautiful difference between hope and faith. And he says, hope walks through fire, faith leaps over it. And I found that very, very beautiful. Right? Why faith leaps over it is faith. The Sanskrit translation of faith is Shraddha. Shraddha basically refers to your true knowledge of who you are. Even when you have not completely realized it, a part of you already knows and you are connected to that part in some way. Right? So understand that suicide is not just a phenomenon of ending the physical body. It is kind of a contradictory between this soul which decided to take birth, but the environment around it was not conducive. So it also decided to withdraw, right? And when we see it from that way or that understanding, we see there's a fundamental problem in the society structure, social structures that we have created. So we are not putting it on the individual, we're not saying that you are weak, so you, because that's how a lot of people look at it, how can you call it weak? I'm not calling it weak. I'm saying that something in the core was missing, core of the personality was missing. Why was it missing? Because of many, many reasons. So as young children, you have to understand, yes, society plays a huge role, but your awareness about yourself also plays an equally big role in saving yourself. See, at the end of the day, your call to life is your call. You are saving yourself, and the divine within you is saving yourself, right? So understand that हो सकता है इस मोमेंट में आपको कुछ भी नहीं नजर नहीं आ रहा, यू डोंट हैव एनी होप टू लिव, यू आर फाइंडिंग एवरीथिंग गोइंग अगेंस्ट यू, द होल टाइड गोइंग अगेंस्ट यू, but know that you made a decision in the first place to come here. Stick to it. Count on that might of your, and this is something again Swami Vivekananda I'm quoting, count on the might of your soul. He said that to young people. Count on the might of your soul and then bring it forward and realize it. So, no, as a soul, you are not, weak. As a soul, you are the divine. You are all powerful. You are able to tackle anything and everything. The only thing is, at this moment, you are not able to fully realize it or bring it out in your personality. But give yourself some time. Let this pass. This current pass from you. This constant suggestion that it's better to leave, it's better to leave, it's better to leave. Let it pass from you, and you will feel that somewhere in some way you will have either an inner help or an external help, and you will be able to remold yourself. क्योंकि 13 साल में 15 साल में 17 साल में बहुत जल्दी है ये बोलना कि everything is going against me. जब आप when the seedling is growing, yes, a lot of things will grow against it. As the seedling is growing for it, so a little bit of air is also against. But we know as adults, or the adult tree knows that this air is important. Yes. So I think that kind of education as a young budding child is important. Make them aware of their value of life. Why did they choose it in the first place? That's where soul education is important. And I think that is a big thing we are missing from the education system today, making it completely materialized, modern science, whatever it is. I don't even think even the scientists today agree with a lot of things that we are being taught in our syllabus, right? They have also moved past it. But unfortunately, political structures, we want to make people more weak, so we will not tell them, you are a spirit in a body and not a body with spirit, the usual way. So know that you are the spirit in the body, connect to it.
We have a comment in the comment section. प्रीति यादव जी ने कुछ लिखा है. I just want to understand what's going on people's mentality, the killing pattern nowadays and suicidal thoughts, the way they face criticism. I I don't know. That's all she wrote.
I
Um,
think this is what we discussed in quite a lot of detail. What is the thought pattern that's going? See, one has to understand that we are being fed a lot of knowledge about ourselves or information about ourselves. You see, this is a common thing that I've seen in my practice. When clients come, they'll come and tell you, Rupali, I have ADHD, I have OCD, they'll diagnose themselves. And even young children, it's very important to understand. Very young children will come and they'll tell me, I am being so depressed. I am so depressed, ma'am. I have personality changes within me, and I can see if my personality is changing. Or they will say, I have narcissistic, tendencies. Or they will say, I have borderline tendencies. They have read everything. They have read what borderline is. So I technically don't need to diagnose them on DSM. I don't need DSM at all, right? They know that they have borderline tendencies. What is happening is when you tell someone you're borderline, they start acting like a borderline, right? So this young child who came to me and said that I've got a diagnosis of borderline personality, OCD, anxiety disorder, and two other, I'm forgetting, but something on the same line, right? हाँ, hospital वालों ने भी 5 diagnoses दे दिए. Now, this child, when she initially came in, she was so overwhelmed with all of the information and she was so tired of playing all the characters. That's the first impression I had of the child. She was trying to carry all the diagnosis with her and justify all the diagnosis. कि हाँ मुझे सब कुछ है, ठीक है? तो उसके बाद बहुत सारे समय उसको ये बताने में लगा कि तुम्हें कुछ भी नहीं है. You're just a little more sensitive and we'll try to work on that. My intention is not to tell somebody that you don't have anything, something like that, or to discourage them. But understand the moment you label somebody saying कि तुम्हें ये बीमारी है, the person will start playing it out. अभी मैं तुम्हें बोल दूँ कि तुम ऐसे करके बैठो, तुम्हारे गर्दन में दर्द होगा, तुम्हें दर्द होने लगेगा थोड़ी देर, ठीक है? इट्स अ वेरी सटल सजेशन, ठीक है? तो आप प्ले करने लगते हो वो चीजें. The same way, the thoughts about suicide are being conveyed to us. If you look around very subtly in the movies that are being shown, in the serials that are shows, OTT shows that are being shown, the music, the lyrics of the music, I have heard a few, recent songs because a young client of mine was telling me, आपने ये नहीं सुना, आपको सुनना चाहिए. All the lyrics were suggesting to what is this life? I don't need this life. I should better kill myself. The pain is too much. Pain is too much. I can't deal with this pain. The suggestibility is acting on the person. They might be actually feeling a cut here, but the pain is too much, the pain is too much, the pain is too much. I should better end my life. And there you go. You create, you understand, we create, we have these terms in psychology, schemas and heuristics. We often use the heuristics to make sense, to make perceptions. The same idea is conveyed in the Bhagavad Gita, Yatha Drishti Tatha Srishti. That wherever you focus on becomes your reality. So one has to understand that the ideas about suicide, the way we will discuss it today, is so superficial. It's at a very superficial level. What we are not connecting to is all of this. See, so many young children today have access to different kind of music, different kind of shows, Korean shows. I'm not against it. I know a lot of my friends watch it. But these Korean TV dramas, they also have these subtle hints on wanting somebody else to feel complete in my life. Or most of the Korean dramas that I've seen, there's this person who's very sweet, very nice, and this other person is very macho and very, has a very strong personality, and they are saving them. And this is not being woven. So you want somebody to save you now. Why? 20 years, 25 years ago, you didn't want somebody, or 20 years from now, you will not want it. So media plays a huge role. The things that we are being, the information that we are, being shown, they all form your mentality. Mentality आपके अकेले की नहीं है, ये एक जनरेशन को फीड किया जाए और इस जनरेशन को बेचारे को पता ही नहीं है कि उसको फीड किया गया
We need a censor board.
We need a good censor board, actually. We need good people on the censor board, people who actually care about the nation and the world and not just about
You
money.
are actually saying a very valid point. Something that I have personally experienced too. The kind of content that we watch on social media, the kind of content we even watch in newspapers and news channels, just the way we hear it, the anxiety rises. It provokes your, I don't know, your inner core to, take huge steps.
I
And I feel like nobody's
um,
moderating it also.
I
Nobody's.
remember when this particular case of Sushant Singh Rajput happened, and everybody termed it as suicide. And the psychologists were the first one to go on board. You need mental health care, and suicide is this and suicide, without waiting for a moment to actually figure out whether वो suicide था या murder था. आज भी उस पे केस तो चल रहा है ना. We don't know for sure. Yes. So I think the way the media uses each and every moment to um, picture or to give you an idea is something you should be very, very careful about. So anything which evokes a very huge, and I wrote on LinkedIn something a few days back on the same idea, any piece of information that evokes a lot of strong emotions from you, be careful about it. And this is something I learned from my mentor, right? Because I was also a very, very sensitive person, very, I would be, because part of your psychology, being psychologist temperament is that you are more open to a lot of influences. So anything that evokes a lot of emotions in you, a lot of reactions in you, both positive and negative, step back. And that is where you practice detachment. That's what Swami Vivekananda was actually talking about. You can't really hold knowledge until and unless you have biases. If you have biases, you don't have true knowledge. Know that much. मैंने बहुत पंडिताई करी है, मैंने सारे वेद पुराण पढ़े हैं और वेद पुराण में जो रिचुअल्स लिखे हैं मैं वही करूंगा. That is fine. But if you are not listening to what the other side is saying, then तुम्हारा वेद पुराण पढ़ना बेकार था. Listen to it. See what they are saying. Not talking about being right or wrong, but you should be able to listen to different perspectives. And then you will see it's actually the different perspectives might be either talking about the same thing or a partial truth, which is fine. And understanding these people might be okay with their partial truths for now in their journey of development and evolution, and it's fine. So you don't have any strong emotions. You're not angry about something. You're not irritated about something, right? So that is where I feel in this particular example that I gave of Sushant Singh Rajput, the reason is after this, there were a series of suicides happening in India, and nobody really bothered about it. Nobody actually covered so much, but there were local newspapers talking a lot. So जब भी कहीं पे भी कुछ होता है, it has a ripple effect, right? So one has to become conscious of the energy around you, of the energy that is being transmitted to you as well.
Now that you were talking about energy, I want you to, make it very, understandable to the younger generation. Whenever we talk about energy, they make a face that this is very voodoo. I don't know why they say it. I feel it, and that's why I believe in it. That's something that is my perspective, my understanding of energy. But how do we make it more acceptable, the idea of energy? Because people will not understand that there's some sort of perverted energy that is pushing you to take such fast steps in your life. They would want to go by what modern science is telling and explaining, some neurotransmitter ka kuch ho lua, and that's why you became more depressive, and that's why you took that step. But then I completely believe that there's something more than that, and I want you to discover, like uncover it and make it more accessible to people. I don't know how to explain that. You tell that it's energy, but how do you understand energy? How do you understand the play of energy in your life?
Even if we start with that fundamental premise that it's a neurotransmitter that forces you to be in a particular way, we are actually saying that it's something else which is forcing you to be in a particular way, right? And that's a valid fair argument कि हाँ ठीक है तुम्हारे neurotransmitters ने तुम्हें ऐसा here to be in a particular way. But see, then you have to go to the premise of science as well. When you say neurotransmitter, you're referring to the particle nature of matter. But we have experiments, series of experiments in science, the double slit experiment, and a lot of experiments after that, which actually show that matter has dual, state of matter, both particle and energy, both particle and wave. Wave represents the energy principle, the particle represents the matter material principle. ठीक है? अगर आप ये भी बोल रहे हो कि आपके न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स के कारण या आपके बॉडी में कुछ चीजें हो रही थी जिसके कारण में यू वर फोर्स्ड टू टेक दिस स्टेप इवन देन यू आर रेफरिंग टू द सेम फिनोमेना दैट्स एक्चुअली एन एनर्जी विच पुट यू इन अ पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन you don't have to make it extraterrestrial. You don't have to make it extra, something which is out of the world. You are yourself referring to it. When people say this to you, tell them you are yourself referring to the same idea. The only thing is you're taking, that's what I said. When you are able to detach and see from two perspectives, you actually see they are coming from the same space with two different faces. Okay. So then, even agar आपका neurotransmitter is forcing you to take a decision, why is your neurotransmitter in a particular way? Why is it like that? A lot of people will say it's genetic. In certain families, suicide runs hereditary hair. The same thing even our Shastra says, Ayurveda also says that suicide is a hereditary factor. Why? Heredity is nothing, your energy, your sanskaras, the energy formations passing from one generation to the other. And these energy formations have their roots in everything at a biological level, at a psychological level. You think like your mother and father. You behave like your mother and father. अब ये बताओ ये गलत है कि नहीं psychology में we keep telling this. If your parents are narcissistic, you will also possibly be narcissistic, right? If your parents are too emotional, you'll possibly be too emotional. We use this. So in a way, we are actually acknowledging and we are verifying and validating the same principle that energy actually moves from one generation to the other generation. And it is that energy formation that pushed you to do something. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, right? So technically you're referring to it, but the
Yeah.
only difference comes here from the modern perspective and the Indian philosophical perspective is this stops here that the energy pushed and you did it. This says the energy is pushing you, but there is a key. You have something within you which can, give it back, which can resist to. And that something is the true spirit or the Purusha or the divine within you or you as the divine. That is pushing the influence of all of these energies because these energies are formations of nature and this is the will force. हम साइकोलॉजी में विल फोर्स की ज्यादा बात नहीं करते नो वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग हम थोड़ा बहुत मोटिवेशन चैप्टर में पढ़ा देते हैं उसके अलावा हम ज्यादा कुछ बात नहीं करते बट यू सी ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी दैट्स द रूट that's the theme which is actually changing everything. If your will is aligned to the central core, then it has the power to take over anything. take care of everything. That is the only fundamental difference. बाकी आपका approach चाहे जो भी हो, बात सेम ही चीज कर रहे हो. It is the energy at the end of the day, right?
Right. Do we have more questions from the audience? Ma'am, anything you would like to conclude the day with?
I think we started with an understanding. The intention was for this was to awaken the youth, make them understand what your true inner power is. Because you might be earning a lot of money, you might be doing a lot of degrees, get PhDs, postdocs, post DLETs, but it is not of any use if it is not allowing you to grow from within, if it is not allowing you to feel complete and fulfilled in your life. If after everything you are, coming back and saying that my life was not worth it, I don't want to live, then nothing matters. So, first understand this truth of your nature, of your being, connect to it. And this is what Swami Vivekananda was talking about. He didn't ask people to leave life and go join monkhood. No, he was saying train your senses, train your body, train your mind, train your emotions. And when you train all of this, when you're able to concentrate that entire force, you will actually be helped with the higher force and you can act out in the world in a more profound and a more beautiful way and a more fulfilling way, that your purpose of life is fulfilled, right? And this was his call to the youth when he said, arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. So, yes, stop not, but what does it mean to arise and awake is important for us as youth to now understand. It's been a long time and we have been through already a lot of shit in the last, I don't know, 50, 20, 50, 60 years. And it's high time that we awaken because see, nothing will happen if we don't awaken. At the end of the day, a part of humanity will collapse, right? That's the max. The people who are awakened eventually will form another group of humanity. It's more uplifted. But why do you want to join that group, right? You would want to join the other group. You would want to participate in something beautiful. So just do that. Work on yourself, not just for that you get a good job, you have a good job in a company, you know, a big company like Google or Meta, but be the one who can actually develop a Google or a Meta as and when needed. Today, India is lacking this one thing. हमारे पास अपना Google और Meta नहीं है, not in the same scale. There are a lot of people actually, trying to build it, but they are not able to scale it up. Why? Try to see what is connecting, what will connect us. We need the thinkers. We don't need the workers anymore. We don't want the working ants anymore. We need the thinkers, the creators, you know, the change makers. And that will only happen when they know themselves. When they will say कि हाँ मैं बना लूंगा, मुझे पता है क्या करना. I understand. And that will not happen if you're following somebody else's dharma, if you're following somebody else's road of development. I think that was the intention behind having this session today. And uh, thank you so much, Khushi, for asking a lot of good questions, which perhaps will help a lot of people. I try to give my perspective. Again, this perspective may be limited in many ways. I don't claim or I'm not claiming that it's the full perspective, but I just shared something after reading Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, and a lot of other people. And what I felt after working with a lot of young people every single day is there is this one thing missing, connecting to that deeper origin. Connect to that, आधी चीजें अपने आप sort out. You don't have to do puja and you don't have to do any of that. It's fine. You don't have to. Connect to it in some way, through your body, through your emotions, through your mind, any which way. Just try to connect to something higher.
It was very nice. We needed to have this session because I feel like people need to understand that it's okay to question. Since we've been shut down quite some time, shush, you're not supposed to ask this. No, this is not the time. We'll talk about this later. This is something that we've constantly heard from a very young age. And when we grow into adults and when we are in dilemma and we are looking for answers, there's this hesitance to ask questions. And I think this was a very good start. Maybe we should have more such sessions wherein, maybe we can bring up a lot of other people to join us, and we can have people from audience as well to join us and ask questions live.
Definitely, definitely. That would be more helpful and more beneficial. We should do it more often. So I think if anybody has any comments, feel free to drop them on DM us with the comments. And hopefully we'll see you again next month or next to next month with another live session.
All right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye bye.